Hello everyone, Charcoal here, and welcome to a video that is quite overdue to say the least. Way back in 2021, ignoring the miniature heart attack that just gave me, I was thinking, what would happen if the SkyWing Dragonet of Destiny egg that Burn smashed in Book 1 survived? And thus, 5 videos were born, known as the Falcon Alternate Universe, or Falcon AU for short, named after said SkyWing Dragonet of Destiny, Falcon. But even though we finished the first arc, there's still more stuff to cover. If you want a full recap of the story so far, you can go watch the other 5 videos if you haven't already, but here's what you need to know for this video. Thorn is still the new Sandwing Queen, Glory is not a Dragonet of Destiny, but is still the new Rainwing Queen, watch Book 4 to learn how that happened, and the Nightwings still live in the rainforest, but are now independent from the Rainwings under the rule of Queen Greatness. And Scarlet, oh boy, Scarlet's story I will recap fully. In Book 1, Glory was never around to give her a free magical deathspit facial, so she stayed in power. Peril turned on her instead, but was captured before she could do any damage. In Book 2, Scarlet assumed the Mudwings were harboring the Dragonets, and, egged on by Burn, turned on them, causing the Mudwings to start their own war against the Skywings. In Book 4, it's revealed that the Mudwings made a temporary alliance with one of the other sisters and stormed the Skywing Palace, killing Burn, capturing Scarlet, and allowing Peril to escape. Peril never showed up in Book 5 because she was in the Mud Kingdom freeing Scarlet from them instead of the Weirdling Tower. So right now, Scarlet is not deformed but still on the run, and Ruby has still taken her place in the Sky Kingdom. But I think that's about it for playing catch-up. Let's begin the second arc. Story-wise, Moonrising and Winter Turning basically don't change at all. The Dragonets of Destiny opened Jade Mountain Academy 6 months after the end of the war. Sunny is the history teacher in this timeline since Webbs is dead, when I'm pretty sure she never had a specified job in the original. Falcon is here now, and she's the combat teacher. I think that was Tsunami's job in the original, along with being the school's headmistress, but in this one, Tsunami is just the headmistress. Besides that, Book 6 goes exactly the same up until Icicle attacks Starflight. She fails, and in the original timeline, she fled to the rainforest to attack Glory. Even though Glory isn't a Dragonet of Destiny in the AU timeline, Icicle still goes after her, but for a different reason. Obviously, she's not going to get close to any of the Dragonets now since they're all on high alert at the Academy, so she goes after Glory because she's a brand new queen in a weak position. And Icicle is desperate, so if she can't hurt the Dragonets directly, she'll kill one of their close friends instead. This leads into Book 7, where the only change is that a different representative from the Talons of Peace meets with the group in place of Riptide because he's dead too. Aside from that, it's the exact same. Most of the major characters in this arc were basically untouched by the changes made to Arc 1, besides Scarlet and Peril, who ended up in about the same place anyway. But speaking of Scarlet and Peril, let's dive into the whole point of this video, Book 8. Book 8 starts out the same until Scarlet shows up and shouts at the Academy. When she throws what is supposedly Glory's severed head at them, Tsunami and Falcon get angry and go after her. This is the pivotal change that'll cause this book to play out a good bit differently. Peril and Turtle set out from Jade Mountain the next day, but are unable to find Tsunami or Falcon. Everything goes the same for a bit. They reunite with the Jade Winglet in Possibility, Peril almost kills Winter, flies away in shame, and meets her father, Soar, aka Chameleon. But when Chameleon reveals Queen Scarlet, Falcon is with her. Falcon and Tsunami had split up, and Falcon and Scarlet happened upon each other not long after. And Falcon is wearing a very similar necklace to the one Chameleon is offering Peril to fix her fire skills. Keep in mind, Peril is close with Falcon instead of Clay in this timeline, so if she accepted the gift, how bad could it really be? But when she puts the necklace on and her fire skills disappear, she starts to feel a sort of resentment towards Falcon. Their clash from Book 1 plays over and over in her head, so the thought of them fighting and hating each other is in the back of her mind constantly. But oddly enough, she can't remember how it ended. They go to retake the palace, imprison Ruby while Prince Cliff is kept with them, etc. But instead of sending Chameleon and Peril to babysit the young prince, Scarlet decides to have some fun. After all, Peril and Falcon never technically finished their battle from way back when, so she again sticks them in the arena and tells them whoever doesn't die will be her champion. This time, the enchanted necklaces make the two dragons all too happy with this arrangement, and so the battle begins. Peril has a decent size advantage over Falcon, but this is also her first time fighting without relying on her fire skills, so it's really anyone's game. As the battle rages on, eventually Peril manages to knock Falcon down, knocking Falcon's necklace partially off but not completely. Falcon is disoriented as her mind ends up in a limbo state between enchanted and normal, giving Peril an opening to jump on her. Falcon rolls to dodge and her necklace comes the rest of the way off. As Falcon comes to her senses, she starts begging Peril to stop fighting, but Peril isn't listening. Her enchantment is keeping her going. Peril keeps attacking Falcon, but once Falcon reminds her of how their last battle ended, Peril hesitates. She starts feeling faint memories of what Falcon said to her that day. She doesn't have to be a killing machine. Scarlet shouldn't control her. No, that's ridiculous. What is she thinking? Taking advantage of her hesitation, Falcon manages to get onto Peril's back and starts trying to pull the other necklace off. Peril's mind flashes as the enchantment fades on and off, until it finally hits her. She is under a spell. She grips the chain of the necklace, and with the combined strength of her and Falcon, they snap it clean off, with Falcon still on Peril's back. Peril realizes it too late. Her fire skills reactivate, and Falcon roars in agony and falls to the ground, severely burned. She is still alive, but for how much longer? Peril immediately flies back to Scarlet, Cliff, and Chameleon and demands Chameleon heal Falcon. With her fire skills back, they're not exactly in a position to refuse, so Chameleon does it, much to Scarlet's fury. But before she can punish Chameleon, everyone realizes Cliff is gone. He flew away in the chaos to free Ruby. From there, the rest of the book plays out almost exactly the same. Ruby challenges Scarlet, gets revealed to be Tourmaline, Tourmaline kills Scarlet, happy ending. Falcon stays with Peril as they reunite with the Jade Winglet, and the two Skywings have a heart-to-heart where Peril apologizes for everything and Falcon forgives her. Falcon flies directly back to the Academy to let the others know everyone is okay, while Peril and the Jade Winglet go to retrieve Darkstalker's scroll from Chameleon. They camp out at Agate Mountain where the others start arguing, Peril burns the scroll, and Darkstalker is released. That will conclude all of the changes to this AU. With the exception of Falcon being present at Jade Mountain Academy for the rest of the second arc, books 9 through 15 play out with 0 differences. But I still have one last thing to share. What I am about to share with you is the original idea for this video. None of this is canon to the AU, but it almost was. The difference is that when Scarlet found and recruited Falcon, they went to retake the palace right away. So by the time Peril was brought to the palace, Ruby had already been executed. Once Peril and Falcon break their enchantments and confront Scarlet, Falcon declares a royal challenge. Peril gets confused and tells Falcon she can't do that because she's not royalty. In response, Scarlet just laughs, leading into a little flashback.
Do you want to tell her, or should I?
Your Majesty?
Yes?
If I may, can I ask you a question?
I suppose. Fine, go ahead.
Why would you get rid of your only heir so soon? Especially for a queen in your position. Having no heirs is incredibly dangerous.
Because she simply wasn't worth the throne. Such a weakling. Now, I have my own question. Tell me, do you ever think about where you came from?
What do you mean?
Well, that prophecy spoke of the largest egg in Mountain High, but eggs don't simply appear out of thin air, do they?
I guess. I've always been curious about who my parents were, but I never dwelled on it very much.
And why is that?
I consider the Dragonets of Destiny my only family. Besides, Clay's parents don't care about him at all.
Really? Comparing yourself to a mudwing?
Then what about a Nightwing? Starflight doesn't even know his parents, but he seems perfectly fine with that.
Nightwings love their secrets, but we're not like them. I can answer all of your questions. Who is your real family? What could have been? Are you saying you don't want to know?
Of course I want to know.
Then, darling, it's time I tell you something I should have told you a long time ago. The life you missed out on for 7 whole years? You're living it. Right now. That pathetic worm Ruby was not my only heir.
Wait. You can't possibly be saying...
Why, yes. You, Falcon, are my daughter.
The royal challenge would have resulted in Falcon winning by pushing Scarlet into Peril, then finishing her off while she was dazed by the pain of the burns. This would have made Falcon the new SkyWing Queen for the rest of the series in place of Ruby. First of all, I want to give credit where it's due. The animatic you just watched was done by my good friend Desertrose. The voice of Falcon was provided by Lori, another online friend of mine, and Queen Scarlet was voiced by the incredibly talented Frozen Gem, reprising her role from Jade Mountain Library. If any of you 3 are watching this, thank you so much again. But I'm sure for a lot of you watching, that begs the question, was this why this video took 2 years to come out? And the answer is yes and no. The animatic did take a while, mostly due to procrastination, but also, as time went on, I started becoming dissatisfied with the ending. It felt like an asspull that didn't really need to happen, but the animatic already had a good chunk done, so I didn't want to just scrap it. Then, A Guide to the Dragon World came out in October of last year and gave us the full story of Scarlet's husband, Canyon. It basically made it so this original ending couldn't happen because Canyon died long before Falcon's egg would have been conceived. So I made the decision to come up with a new story, aka what you heard earlier, but keep the animatic as a little bonus bit. And so, here we are. Almost 3 years after it began, the Falcon AU is officially over. Even if it took a while, I had a lot of fun making it, and I hope you had just as much fun watching. I want to take this moment to reiterate that any and all fan content for this AU is fair game, as long as I'm credited and it's not just senseless violence or NSFW stuff, obviously. But with that, thank you for visiting Charcoal's Den, and I'll see you all in the next video.